There were a lot of good movies in 2015, and there were some fucking awful ones too. Well, here they are, my least favorite movies of the year. It's time now to reach down into the bottom of the barrel and see what kind of nastiness we come up with. This is probably where you've wanted to go all along, and I guess I can't really blame you. Some movies are bad, and some movies are just badly made. Supermodels was made in 2010 or so, I think, but it wasn't released until 2015, on less than 5 screens for 3 days. It's a movie about ugly girls with boob jobs who are cheap enough to get naked on camera. I don't mean that's the story of Supermodels, I mean that's what the movie is really about. I guess there's a story in there too, but I was laughing too hard to really notice it. The only reason I can think they released it at all was to try and cash in on Paco Chow's newfound fame. Unfortunately for him, Supermodels is just another of the handful of awful movies he was in this year. Supermodels is so bad, I couldn't really get mad at it. It's comprehensively awful, and I doubt it's even going to get a DVD release, much less get put online. It's shit. One Night in Taipei is yet more proof that Wilson Chin has no business being behind a camera. Tedious, unfunny, and just fucking bad. One Night in Taipei is so awful, it makes the Lan Kwai Fong movies seem stellar by comparison. Some of this year's worst movies are bad because the people who made them obviously thought they were much better movies than I did. Daughter stars Kara Hui as a psychiatrist and Kenny Wong as a Catholic priest. Then again, Yanni Chen of Supergirls plays the titular role. It's so badly written and directed, it made me angry. How stupid do filmmakers think an audience is? Then again, I paid to see Daughter, so maybe they have a point. The directorial mouth breather of Daughter was the writer of Guilty, directed by Jill Wong, whose greatest contribution to cinema thus far is making Patrick Kong look good. Guilty is 2 hours of solipsistic tedium, occasionally interrupted by laugh-inducing dialogue and occasional attempts at pathos that are so cringeworthy I almost felt bad, until I realized this movie took 2 hours of my life from me that I can't get back. The twist in this film was probably stolen out of Patrick Kong's garbage can, where it and the rest of Guilty should have stayed. Speaking of garbage, S for Sex, S for Secrets was directed by Jill Wong, who also directed Daughter. It was written by Patrick Kong, but I'm not going to put too much effort into criticizing him because he didn't put too much effort into writing this script. When married people cheat on each other, do they lock their phones? Not according to this movie. But let's move on, shall we? Sometimes movies are bad because they're misunderstood. A message movie isn't a bad thing, but when you make a message movie for teenagers without telling anyone, you're Dante Lamb. To the Fore is the most epic after-school special ever conceived. Adolescents would find it gripping and breathtaking, but for the rest of us it's wooden, pedestrian, and its emotional environment is embarrassingly immature. If I knew it was a movie for teenagers before I saw it, I might have thought differently, but I didn't, and neither, apparently, did anyone else, until it was too late. I don't watch TV, local or otherwise, and every time I wonder if I'm wrong for that, TVB manages a cross-platform infection of movie screens and reminds me that I'm not wrong for staying away. Triumph in the Skies is a huge, bloated, moronic mess. Lazily conceived and negligently executed, its only redeeming value is that it makes a lovely example of everything wrong with local television and the hubristic condescension with which producers treat their audiences. But what if you take television out of that equation? You're left with hubristic condescension. And that, dear viewers, is why the worst movie of 2015 is The Merger. Well, there's another reason, but more on that later. Speaking of moron, imagine a movie that claims to have won almost 24 awards at film festivals, but later you find out that the awards were basically paid for. Imagine a movie about a young woman the world doesn't understand or value. Now imagine that the movie is written by the actress who plays the young woman. Imagine she's also an executive producer. Imagine her only other listed screen credit is Vampire Warriors. But it's not just her. Most everyone involved in this movie is guilty of attempted art. The Merger is a textbook example of a vanity project because it's so vain it makes me want to puke. It's not that this film is clumsy, self-indulgent, and more poorly conceived than John Merrick. It's the smug pride oozing off of it like rancid gravy that makes me so mad. So for those reasons, and a lot of others that I refuse to go into because I'm not gonna waste any more of my life, The Merger is the worst movie of 2015. But to be fair, I should also note that Barbara Wong's The Secret got pushed back to 2016. I can hardly wait. S for Sex, S for Secrets was all...